guys, and welcome back to my channel. I hope that you all are doing very good tonight. I want to show you my top 200 movie picks. I made a list on my Voodoo account, so it's a pretty neat thing actually. You can organize them funniest movie. So I've watched these movies probably more than anything, I would say, just because we would rewatch it sometimes and just stay up all night watching it and playing with toys and stuff in the summer. So I put part 2 right next to it just so that they would go together. I love them both the same. So let's see. The next movie is Halloween Part 4. And then Halloween Part 5. They kind of go together, in my opinion, just because they kind of Part 5 leaves off where Part 4 ended. So those are my favorite Halloween movies. I seen that when I was little, and I think I connected with it just because the main character is a little girl named Jamie in that movie, and it made it more scary for me as a kid, so I always just really loved it. The next thing, I put the Boardwalk Empire series. I love that. I've watched that show 3 times altogether. I watched it first with my dad, and then I rewatched it one time with my mom, and then I rewatched it again just by myself in my room. Love all the characters, and that's also by Martin Scorsese, which did Goodfellas as well, and a lot of other really great movies. Steve Buscemi is one of my favorite actors. He's an amazing person, from what I've read about him, and he's just an awesome actor. So there's this character in the show named Margaret Schroeder, and I love her Irish accent. It's my favorite thing. Next up, at Bates Motel. This has Freddie Highmore and Vera Farmiga in it. It's super creepy, and I love it so much. I like to watch that, especially around the fall and the winter times. I can always go back to it and rewatch it. I think it's amazing. The next one is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I went to the movies and seen this with my dad, and we walked out of the movie theater saying that it's one of the best movies. It was done so well. I love it. It's by Quentin Tarantino, has Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt in it. Made in 2019. I love it so much. It's so cool. Let's see. The next one, it's called Nobody, and it has Bob Odenkirk, which played Saul, or Jimmy McGill in Better Call Saul. This is probably one of the newer movies I added to my list. It just came out February 26th of this year, so if I'm not mistaken, this is the newest movie that is added to my list. It is action-packed, and it's just, I love it. I love Bob Odenkirk. He's awesome. He's an awesome dude, and he shined in that movie, I think, and I'm happy that he's getting parts outside of, Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. The next movie is Hacksaw Ridge. Now this is when my list gets a little blurry because there's so many. I'll scoot down another one. There's so many good ones following this that I couldn't quite put them in a specific order. So I went ahead and just put Hacksaw Ridge next, and it was made in 2016. Its genre is a documentary, but in my opinion, I would have put it under like a drama or something of the sort. It's a really good movie, and I like it. list. So this is rated a comedy, and it was made in 2003. This is my top favorite chick flick of all time. I wouldn't say that The Hot Chick is a chick flick. I think that's more of a comedy in my opinion. This one though, it's more, it's more a little on the romantic and relationship side of things, so that's why I would rate it more of a chick flick than The Hot Chick. This has Matthew his own mind. Like, he created it out of just knowing a few different people from his life, and then it's like he joined two personalities from his life together, and he created this character. So, I don't know, the whole story is really cool, and not only that, I'm pretty sure in the same interview, I heard that he wrote the whole entire movie within like a week, maybe, or maybe it was a little longer, maybe 2 weeks or something. But that's amazing to me. That's very motivational and inspirational, because that just goes to show, it just takes a couple weeks to make a masterpiece if you really work hard and have all your ducks in a row, have all your ideas and thoughts coming to you. It can happen. Okay, the next one is Shawshank Redemption, and this one could actually be moved up on the list as well, but like I said earlier, the list got kind of blurry, and it was so hard to determine which movies were my favorite over the other one, you know what I mean? So, The Shawshank is, I believe it's rated like the best movie made ever, like of all time. I've watched that several times, and I will continue to watch it several times throughout my life. It's one of those movies that never get old to me. It was made in 1995, so just 1 year before I was born, and it is a drama. It has Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman in it, and it's about a jailbreak, so it's really amazing if you haven't seen it. It can be on the vulgar side, so if you don't like a vulgar movie, you probably shouldn't watch it, but I like all sorts of different movies. I grew up on watching zombie movies and horror movies and stuff, just because I've always really loved scary stuff, and I was born just the day before Halloween, so it's always kind of been a thrill for me to watch all kinds of films, all kinds of scary and just drama movies. With Goodfellas being my top favorite one, that says a lot about my taste in movies. If you've seen Goodfellas, it's not the most sunshiny movie out there. So the next movie is Rogue One. Now, I just watched this again the other day. I love this one, and if you're asking me if it's my favorite Star Wars movie, that's such a hard question to answer, because one, I love all of the Star Wars movies in their own different way. I love, part 1 through 3, when Anakin was just a little boy growing up. I love Natalie Portman. I love those. Those were the ones that came out of the movies when I was little. I went to the movies and seen those, so those have a special place in my heart. Part 4 through 6, those what started Star Wars altogether. Love those. And then even the new ones, part 7, 8, 9, with Kylo Ren and Rey. I love those just the same. Kylo Ren's like one of my favorite characters. And so Rogue One, the reason I put that on my list and none of the others is because to me, I feel like it represents Star Wars, because this is the movie that shows you what happened before part 4, and the ending of Rogue One leading into part 4, the beginning of part 4 is just, I don't know, I feel like that's the most coolest thing. And then with them showing Princess Leia and using their CGI, I thought that was super, super neat. So I love Rogue One. this isn't the first horror film I've ever seen. My first scary movie that I ever seen was Child's Play. And after I seen that, I was just kind of addicted to scary movies. Like, I would be begging to watch a scary movie anytime I could. So this was my first zombie film. It's very scary. Very good. The next one is Dawn of the Dead, unrated, made in 2004. It's a horror movie. It's a zombie movie. I love it. I love that one. I went to the movies and seen that one with my dad. The next one, I put The Walking Dead series, just because I thought it would go good next to the other zombie movies. I love zombie-related movies and stuff. I probably could have put a lot more on the list, but you can only put 200 movies on lists on Vudu. Okay, this next one is Sleepaway Camp. Very creepy, very scary. Let's see, it was made in 1983, and it is a horror film. The next one's Armageddon. I love this one. They play an Aerosmith song, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing, and it actually has Steven Tyler's daughter, Liv Tyler. So I love that. Billy Bob Thornton's in it, Bruce Willis. Let's see, what is his name? Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Okay, Ben Affleck. I'm so sorry. Ben Affleck. Steve Buscemi is also in that as well. So, it's great. The next one is Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. This one should actually be next to Bates Motel, so I need to move that. I need to move that up there, probably. It was made in 1960, and it's a horror film. Let's see, the next one is The Proposal. And this one has Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds in it. It's a comedy made in 2009. Next one is Yours, Mine, and Ours. I love this one. It has so many actors and actresses in it. Drake Bell is even in it, and let's see, Miranda Cosgrove, which I thought that was cool growing up because they played in Drake and Josh together, so I thought it was cool to have them in the same movie, playing brother and sister again. Okay, the next one is Inside the Manson Cult. So I don't think I've ever talked about it, but I've always been intrigued with like documentaries talking about the whole Charles Manson thing, and that's one of the reasons I really thought Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was just really cool. The ending really got me all shook up, so I loved that. The next one is Changeling, and that was by Clint Eastwood, and that has Angelina Jolie. It's rated a drama, made in 2008. That movie is pretty, I don't know, I would say frustrating would be the word to me, but it was still, I was really interested by it, so I went ahead and put it in my top favorites. The next one is The Twilight Zone. My favorite episode is called The Hitchhiker, and I believe it's on season 1. If you want to be creeped out, go watch that. This next one is Better Watch Out, and I've debated on whether or not to take this off my list because I don't know. I thought it was good, so I added it on there, but it's like a scary Christmas movie, and it's categorized as a comedy, and it's rated a comedy, but I don't think it should be rated a comedy. I think it should be rated a drama or a coming-of-age movie or something like that. Has Kristen McNichol in it, which I always thought she was really cool growing up. She played in this show called Family, and I don't know, I always thought she was neat, a neat person. This next one is The Incredible Shrinking Woman, and it has Lily Tomlin in it, which I love Lily Tomlin. I have a couple vinyls of her comedy acts. She's so funny, and this movie's so cute. You guys know how I love miniature things and stuff, so it's really cute. It's really cute that she shrinks down. The next one is called My Bodyguard, and this was made in 1980. It's categorized a comedy, but again, I think it should be a coming-of-age or a drama movie. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of funny parts in it, but to me, it gives off the vibe more of like a drama-related movie. The next one is Any Which Way You Can, and then right next to that is Every Which Way But Loose, and these have Clint Eastwood in them, and then he has a little monkey friend. I think these movies are really funny. They're really cool, but they're labeled an action movie. This one was made in 1980, and then Every Which Way But Loose was made in 78, so I guess I have those in the wrong order. That's my bad. Okay, the next one I have on here is Full Metal Jacket, and it's made in 1987. It's a drama. Yeah, I don't know really what to say about that movie. It's got all kinds of parts. It's got funny parts, it has very sad parts, it has just a lot of dramatic parts. So the next one is No Country for Old Men, and I've only seen that one time, but I knew I really, really liked it, so that's another one I'm gonna have to rewatch again soon. I loved the acting that the main actor guy did in it. I can't remember which one he is. If he's, I'm not sure what his name is in real life. I'm sorry, but I totally forgot. This next one is From Dusk Till Dawn, and this has Quentin Tarantino in it, Juliette Lewis, and George Clooney, Harvey Keitel, Robert Rodriguez. It was made the year I was born, 1996, and it is an action. I love it. It's really cool. It's got a very twisted ending, and it's really, really neat. This one is Natural Born Killers, and it also has Juliette Lewis as Woody Harrelson in it. I think that this movie is very funny at certain parts. It's an action movie made in 1994. Next we have Stand By Me. It's labeled a comedy, but in my opinion it should be a drama or a coming-of-age movie. It was made in 1996. Okay, this next one is That Thing You Do, and this has Liv Tyler and Tom Hanks, Tom Everett Scott in it. It was made the year I was born, 1996. My dad played the soundtrack of this movie a lot when I was growing up, specifically That Thing You Do song. So I love that song, and I love that movie. The next one here is The Runaways. This should actually be scooted up by Walk the Line and, Coal Miner's Daughter and all that, just because it's about a band becoming famous. So I feel like that those should be next to each other. This next one is Castaway with Tom Hanks. It's the one where he's stranded on that island. This next one is The Silence Silence of the Lambs. This one was made in 1991, and it's a drama. I love the whole series of the Silence of the Lambs. Hannibal Lecter. Next, I have Charlie's Angels. This was made in 2003. Has Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, and Lucy Liu. I also seen the old show of Charlie's Angels, and I always really liked that too. This next one is called Hellfest, and it's a newer horror movie. It was made in 2018. I don't know, I always love movies that show festivals or carnivals and things like that, and considering this one is about a spooky carnival, like that's the whole main setting of the movie, I love it. It puts me in this really great October mood. And it's by the people that made The Walking Dead, so I love that one. This next one is called Trapped. It has Kevin Bacon in it. I haven't seen that one in a while, but I know it's really good. It has Dakota Fanning in it as well. This next one is American Hustle. It was made in 2013, and it's labeled a comedy, but it definitely should be a drama, in my opinion. It has a bunch of good actors in it. Bradley Cooper, David O. Russell, Christian Bale, and Jennifer Lawrence, and what's her name? Amy Adams. Took me a second. This next one is Twister. It was made the year I was born as well, 1996. It has Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt in it. That movie is very thrillful, and it's an action. I love that movie. They chase storms and tornadoes in it. I put Where the Heart Is right next to it just because there is tornadoes in this movie too, just a few times. They kind of reminded me of each other growing up. I don't know why, just because of the tornado, I guess. But this is the movie where Natalie Portman has a baby in Walmart, and she lives at Walmart for a while, carrying the baby because she's poor and she doesn't have anywhere else to go. It's a really good one. I like it. It's labeled a comedy, but to me, I don't know, it should be more like a drama, I think. It was made in 2000. Okay, the next one I have on here is Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks. Followed by The Cable Guy with Jim Carrey and Matthew Broderick. Ben Stiller directed that one. Very creepy. I love it. That movie makes me laugh a whole lot just because Jim Carrey's hilarious. This next one with Reese Witherspoon is called Freeway. Now, it says it's a comedy, but in my opinion, I think it's like a horror / thriller / I don't even know. It does have a lot of funny parts in it, but it's more scary than anything, I think. More of a thriller movie. Next we have Kill Bill. Very awesome. I don't think I've seen movies and seen part 3, but I just added part 1 again because I only had 200 slots for my favorite movies, and I figured part 1 could represent the whole series for me. I like them all pretty much the same, but part 1's my favorite. The next one is The Craft, and I just watched this one the other day. This one was made in 1996, and it is a horror movie. I have always been intrigued with like witchy movies, witchy type of things. So this movie's always been really cool to me. It should actually be right next to Practical Magic, because they are both like witchy movies and they remind me of each other. Same thing with Witches, but that's more of like, like a kid movie, so I don't know. Next we have Girl Interrupted, 1999. It's a drama with Winona Ryder and Angelina Jolie, and also Brittany Murphy is in that as well. I really like that movie. I've only seen it one time though, so that's another one that I could probably watch again. This next one is called Joy, and it has Jennifer Lawrence and Robert De Niro in it and Bradley Cooper. It was made in 2015, and it's labeled a comedy, but to me it should be one of those, like more of like a documentary type, or like a drama or something, because it's about this woman that creates the mop. Like, I don't know, it's hard to talk about because I can make it sound like such a boring basic movie, but it really is really good, so I added it to my favorites. Next is Stepmom. This should actually be scooted up quite a bit on my list. I've watched that since I was very little, and I just always liked it. It has a lot of different like weather sceneries in it, which I think that's what caught my attention to it the most. Like, they show like a trick-or-treating scene in it, and Christmas scenes are in it, and just all kinds of really good visuals in that movie. I really like the tone of that movie. It is pretty sad if you watch the whole thing, but all in all, it brings me happiness, so I like it. This next movie, so this is interesting. It's Mona Lisa's Smile, and I always used to hate on this movie growing up. I would never watch it just because I thought Next we have Spy Kids. Love that movie. I love part 1 and part 2, but part 1's my favorite. Then we have Dennis the Menace. I love that one so much. I've seen that a lot. It should actually probably be next to Problem Child, way up at the top. But, you know. The next I have Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. That one I've seen a lot too, and I love it. I love movies about things that shrink down. This one actually should be next to The Borrowers, because those are both about little tiny people. Then we have Little Rascals. I've seen that so many times as well. I used to have the biggest crush on Alfalfa when I was like 5 years old. I don't know what was wrong with me, but yeah, that was like my first crush ever. Alfalfa, can you believe it? I also liked Junie from Spy Kids. So yeah, there's a little embarrassing fact about me. Okay, the next movie is Holes. I've always loved this one. It has Shia LaBeouf in it and Sigourney Weaver, which I named one of my golden retrievers after her, Little Weaver. Next we have The Iron Giant. Love that one so much too. My Girl, part 1. I don't like part 2. It doesn't have Thomas J in it, so. Let's see, Goosebumps. My favorite episodes are Welcome to Dead House, The Haunted Mask, let's see, The Slappies, Horror, Day at Horrorland, Old Story. Like, there's so many. I love them all. Okay, we already talked about The Borrowers, and then we have We're the Millers. That is one of my favorite comedies as well. I should probably move that up there by Horrible Bosses, but it was so hard to do. I don't know. Next is Why Him. This is Bryan Cranston, James Franco. I always forget that girl's name. But she's the daughter of Bev from Back to the Future. They look so much alike, and I honestly didn't know that until I looked it up, because I just thought that they looked alike, and sure enough they were mother and daughter, so pretty cool. Next is Bad Teacher. I've watched that movie a lot because it always makes me laugh. That's a movie I could just put next we have a movie called Beautiful. Let's see, I used to watch this movie with my mom all the time. She'd probably still watch it with me if I wanted to, if I asked her to watch it with me today. That one I put next to Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion. It's one of my favorites. Next is Josie and the Pussycats. I love that. That whole soundtrack I have on vinyl, and I love the soundtrack. Their songs are amazing. Next is Sugar and Spice, and She's All That should actually be scooted over so that it's next to this Josie and the Pussycats, because they both have Rachel Lee Cook in them. These are kind of like all the chick flicks. I wanted to put them in order, or I wanted to put them next to each other. Next is Bring It On. I used to watch that all the time when I was younger. Part 1's always been my favorite. The Wedding Singer, that should be scooted up a little bit, because I love that one. Such a sweet story. Okay, so then we have Austin Powers, and this is part 2. They made 3 movies altogether. I always liked part 2 the best. It had Felicity Shagwell in it, and that's the one that has Mini-Me. So yeah. Okay, next we have Overboard. I love this one. That's one of my mom's favorite movies. She used to watch that all the time. It would be Overboard and Beautiful. She'd be watching all the time when I was little. So she got me loving them too. Let's see, Because I Said So. This is like me and my mom's favorite movie to watch together. Like one of our favorite movies to watch. It's a very good one. Very good one. I love it. Okay, we have Crossroads. That one has Britney Spears in it, and like she's trying to become a singer. The next one we have is Dumb and Dumber. Love that movie. So funny. The next is Mean Girls. It's one of my favorites. I used to watch that every night one summer with one of my friends that used to come over all the time. We'd watch it every single night, so I know all the words to that. Let's see. Bridesmaids is one of my favorite funny movies too. That movie has me cracking up a lot. Put that right next to Clueless. Then we have Jawbreaker, which it's labeled a comedy, but it should be like a thriller, or not really a thriller, but like a drama or something. Because it's not that funny, it's more like of a thinking movie. I don't know. It's still a chick flick to me, but I don't know. I wouldn't say it was a comedy. Then we have 13 Going on 30. Just Like Heaven. We have Grease. Scary Movie, part 1 and part 2. I never cared for part 3 or 4, or I think they even did a 5th one. Never cared for those as much. We have Kick-Ass, part 1. Dirty Dancing. The Breakfast Club. Pretty in Pink. I wanted to put all those next to each other because they're all in the same time frame. Also Ferris Bueller's Day Off. The Thing Called Love. The Legend of Billie Jean. She's Out of Control. That one's a really good one. I've always liked that. My Cousin Vinny with Joe Pesci. Let's see, Can't Buy Me Love. That's another 1980s movie that I really, really like. Has Patrick Dempsey in it. And then, let's see, The Notebook, of course. Crazy Stupid Love. A Walk to Remember. Guess Who? That's one of me and my mom's favorite movies to watch together as well. So funny. Love that. Let's see, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I've always loved that movie. It's Pat. That's rated I should put